It's been almost half a century since the internet allowed for players to gather into something that would be defined as a multiplayer online role-playing game. Since then, millions of players have experienced and shared amazing moments which they cherish and remember to this day. We at Beastburst Entertainment want to capture the essence of these experiences. For that reason, we invited Callum Upton and Mr. and Mrs. Tix from MMO Byte and asked them about their journey with MMORPGs, what they think should be treasured and what they think should be fought against as bad practices. Take a seat and enjoy this roundtable discussion between them and our CEO, Vanilin Vasiliev. Please understand that although we love the games we mentioned through the video, we had to censor their names in order to avoid any legal issues. Without further ado, let's dive in.
So with this, we wanted to create some sort of a MMORPG roundtable where we take feedback from the pros, where we take...
I mean, that's debatable.
Well, I think you can provide extremely valuable feedback to us as a game creator. One of the first questions that I really wanted to see what is your opinion of is, what do you guys think is a good starting experience for a MMORPG? What it needs to have in order to say, oh, okay, that's fun.
Ooh.
A non-long tutorial, please.
I was going to say a silent tutorial where you're getting trained in the game, but you've not got like UI pop-ups everywhere. It's just kind of part of the game.
A lot of MMO players have played MMOs before. We don't need to be told how WASD moves our character
Or space is jump.
Yeah, or that space bar is jump. a good opening, like 15 minutes where you're just thrown into something fun, something engaging that doesn't have you like, oh, hey, you're new to the game. This is how you play it. This is how you talk to an NPC. Go talk to that NPC. And then kill 2 monsters, run back, and then spend 5 minutes running to the next NPC. That's not a fun, interactive starting experience.
I can actually give you a perfect example of my dream tutorial. If you've ever played the whole of the fort, you don't realize until you leave, was the tutorial. And it was at like, what, 2 hours long? And you never at any point felt that it was one. It just taught you everything you needed.
How much is the time frame for you to say, it might be good, but I'm not giving it a try because right now I'm not really enjoying it?
See, many people seem to think that to play an MMO and to formulate a proper opinion on an MMO, you need to play it to endgame, which means potentially investing thousands of hours into it. And if you don't invest thousands of hours into it, you haven't invested as much as the veterans of the game have, then your opinion is invalid. So to them, you have to play for thousands of hours. To me, someone who has a finite amount of time to invest into a game, and I'm sure like a lot of MMO players are now adults with families, jobs, lives, they can't invest, 200, 400, 500 hours into it. So I feel like, to me personally, if I'm not engaged and I'm not enjoying myself in like 10, maybe 12 hours, I'm gonna uninstall it, delete it, and never go back.
So something like 12 hours for you.
I think
it's even less for me.
Yeah.
But see, I have to record footage of games, so at the same time, I'm a little more lenient.
Because you know that you're trying to...
And a little more patient, so...
But if I have to hear it gets good later, that's a huge red flag for me. I give it 30 minutes. If you cannot get me in 30 minutes to be like, I'm at least intrigued to keep playing, I am out.
Absolutely. I think it's got to be held to the same standards as like regular games, right? If you pick up a first-person shooter, if you're not enjoying it in the first hour, you're probably not going to enjoy the rest of it.
Speaking of that, what exactly means I'm enjoying it? What it should have to say I'm enjoying it? Because somebody may be entertained by the fact that he's getting ganked nonstop by a lot of peers around, which is for somebody else is like, this game is awful, I don't want to be here. So what is the fun factor for you?
For me, it can be so many different things, but I know I'm having fun in a game where I look at the clock and I have to do a double take because I've like 3 hours have just drifted by. If I can lose an hour or two in a blink of an eye, it doesn't matter what I'm doing in that game. I'm enjoying it. I'm happy with that.
That could be any number of things. Dungeons and raids. It could be PvP. It could be just an engaging story. For me personally, like I like a narrative. I like becoming enthralled with the characters that are within a game. With MMOs as well, there are very few MMOs. There are probably like 4 total MMOs in the entire genre that have a narrative worth actually reading. Most MMOs are as simple as this. You spawn into a world, now you're killing things for no reason whatsoever. A handful of games have you spawn into a world for a reason, and then that reason, you are continuing to pursue that reason long term, and that is a focal point of the game. Everything is an afterthought and based and built around the reason for you being spawned into the world. So for me, a narrative is very important. Gameplay is important, but I like action games. I like tap target games. I like turn-based games. I like all kinds of games, but if a narrative is boring, I'm going to skip it.
Yeah.
And if I skip it, then I'm not enjoying it.
Yeah, you're missing a part of the game. Okay, right now you're already in. You're a bit hooked inside the game, and now comes the leveling. What we do now? What for you is the ultimate leveling experience? Do you even think leveling is needed in MMORPG?
That's a controversial one, isn't it? I personally, for leveling experiences, and people will hate me for saying this, but I have very good reason. Not too much power creep between level and between each level, but longer time between the levels. That way, you and your friends, you could be 20 levels apart, playing together, doing the same sorts of content, and sure, one's going to be stronger than the other, but you don't get gapped from your friend very quickly. I mean, if we started playing a game 3 days apart, like a modern MMO, there's no chance we're doing anything together.
But what you're describing is essentially the lack of a leveling experience. Because as an example, right, like when you get in game, your goal in the game is to hit max level. It's not to explore the world you're in. It's not to talk to the NPCs and
it's a
learn about
loading
them.
bar until the end game is all it is.
So leveling isn't necessary as a feature. I think leveling just provides an artificial number to just make you feel better about progressing through the game and to force you alongside a line to quickly get from point A to point B.
Yeah.
But usually the leveling experience gives you stats to put in, something rewarding that you get back from that. So if there isn't anything rewarding tied with levels.
Let's speak about rewards. Are you a fan of hard-earned rewards, or you feel like I am like 12 hours inside the game, I deserve to have an epic?
I think grinding provides an incentive to play the game.
Yes.
So I think if you can obtain epic, legendary like gear that people grind and invest time into the most competitive content possible for a minimal amount of effort, then that item, that gear, is no longer epic or legendary. It's just basic and common. So then if there's nothing to push you towards achieving, then there's no real sense of achievement or progression. So I think it's better to work and to strive towards something and then to successfully eventually achieve it rather than just having it handed to you.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. But even like you're talking about grinding to get something, I love skill-based challenges that are open to any level, and you can make it more or less challenging as you see fit. Do I want to wait a few levels to go and try this challenge, or do we want to try 20 levels before recommended? A good example is like anyone who's ever got the fire cape knows how much of like a monumental task that is. And it's just so rewarding.
Yeah, and you're recognized for that
Exactly.
achievement.
It's something that you will always remember because of how hard it was to get.
And then we have the next question that comes out of this. Do you think this is the incentive that a new player, some 12-year-old boy that for first time coming from, let's say, is entering MMORPG genre? How you think he is going to act in this? And is he going to be attracted by this?
No, he's going to go back to... Like, that's just an easy question, easy answer. I just want to get in and like 10 minutes, boom, I'm done. There we go.
Every 20, 30 seconds, a new shiny thing on the floor, then the bigger shiny thing on the floor.
Yeah, they don't want to invest weeks or months into a game like that.
I think it is definitely for a certain type of person. I mean, MMOs that I played in the past when I first started and you saw someone with this epic dragon staff. Yeah.
I have it.
You're the only one.
For me, because I'm new to MMOs, when I first came over to MMOs, the thing that was driving me was the fact that I came into these games, I saw people dressed in like very pretty shiny things. They had shiny weapons. I was like, how do I get that?
Yeah.
how can I make that happen for me?
You
That's
set your
really
own
cool.
goal.
Yes. So then I figured it out and then go do that.
But this is completely different from what you said, the quick dopamine hits. This is extremely different, isn't it?
Yeah.
As a sort of a feeling that you get when you're playing an MMORPG. So, in that sense, do you believe that only the MMORPG genre as itself is responsible for the state that it is currently, or also the whole gaming in general has switched so much that it just changed the way the games are accepted?
It is definitely
That
the
is
players.
a good point.
This is going to piss some people off, so I'm sorry for this in advance, but it is 100% the players. If a company does something dumb and you let it happen, and then they continue to do dumb things and you continue to let it slide, then that is on you. That's not on the company. If you hold the company accountable, then the company won't continue to do it. If you stop paying, as an example, if a large company has a pay-to-play game and they do something very silly and the player base is unhappy with it, the way to fix this is to cancel your subscription. If there's a mass exodus of players, the studio is going to think, well, no one's left playing our game. I wonder why. They're forced to remedy that, and then you had a direct impact on it. So if you're not doing that and you're not holding the company accountable, then it's on the player, not necessarily on the company. Yes, the company made the mistake, but it's the people not holding the company accountable for making that mistake that continue to allow the genre to stagnate and to get to the point that it's in, which is why pay to win is so prevalent. Because, a decade ago, pay to win was definitely a thing, but it was not like it is now. Games a decade ago were nowhere. I mean, the horse skin, the
Horse
DLC,
armor. Yeah.
like when that happened and you need to pay a few dollars for it, there was an outrage.
Yeah.
Now paying a few dollars for a DLC, that's nothing.
Yeah.
So
I definitely agree with you on it being the players. We've kind of been conditioned as gamers now to just be after these super quick dopamine hits constantly. And it's just expected now. Like a player
which
coming
is
from...
sad.
They're expecting to be constantly rewarded for nothing. And you can't really do that in an MMO because it stops being what it was. Yeah.
How long ago was the last time that you truly had fun in an MMORPG, but like a real MMORPG?
In terms of new ones, it's been ages since one's released, and I've about maybe 6 years, I want to say.
6 years?
Yeah, since I last really enjoyed one.
What about you guys?
2017 was probably the last time I really got into an MMO and played it for more than like a couple hours. Well, okay, so typically like a new MMO launches, you get into it and you're like, oh, it's just the same thing I play.
Yeah.
Or it was the same thing that released like a month ago. I think it was 2017. And I got into that game and I was like, this is so different to anything that I'd played. And I think that was probably the first time in the 2010s where I'd actually become engrossed in a game because of how diverse everything was and how different it was to the norm. Because everything is very, like in the genre, everything is very traditional. It all follows a certain formula, but it didn't. And I thought that was such an exceptional difference that really, it had me want it, because I know Adrian earlier talked about the sense of wonderment in the world. They allowed for you to just go out and do whatever you want for hundreds of hours. There's always more stuff to see, always new cool things to find. And that is something I haven't felt since probably like the late 2000s.
Yeah, we spoke about this, and I was saying I can put my finger on exactly when the last game I properly enjoyed was, and that was when came out. Since then, there's been no MMO that I've jumped in and thought, this is fantastic. I could spend hours in here, whereas in that I just went off, got lost on ships, crashed into a kraken, and just
naval battles.
Just
being a pirate.
Generally exploring the world, like you were saying, and having things to find. But yeah.
Which is interesting that we've circled back around to that again.
Yeah.
Do you believe we got lost in nostalgia? Yeah, how nostalgia plays a role in our current expectations for a new MMORPG?
So I'm a newer MMOer. I can completely demolish the nostalgia goggles thing here because I have played the older MMOs. and I have fallen in love with those. I raid in those. I am still in those, and I play these new MMOs, and it feels so empty.
Yeah.
But so I don't have nostalgia goggles, and I can tell you the old ones were actually better.
Yeah. And it's been disproven by 2 separate companies now. They've got new people to the genre choosing those over the current live products.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, that's living proof right there that it's nostalgia's just a myth within MMOs.
They were just playing better.
They were better. They were just built different.
When was the last time that you truly participated in a guild? But truly, like
In a guild, like
in a guild.
Oh,
man, I feel
4.5 years ago exactly.
4.5.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So we're quite good.
Yeah, I mean, it was a long-standing guild doing like realm first raiding. So yeah, that stuck together for years. But since then, I don't want any drama.
I'm gonna say never. Ever. Never.
That was like back in 2016, I think. That's because that was the last time I did raiding in an MMO, like competitive raiding. Because I did competitive raiding probably all throughout like 2010 through 2000, whenever it was like 2015 or 16. Yeah.
Brush that one aside.
So I did competitive raiding up until that point. I had fun in it, but it kind of the mentality behind raiding at that point, because I think there was a weird shift in the genre where people started becoming more toxic with raiding, and
I know exactly the period that you're on about.
yeah. And then at that point I was like, is this really what I want to spend my time investing into? Or would I rather just go gank people in the open world? So I'm like, gank people in the open world, that got tedious after a little bit, and then I just stopped playing.
What is the perfect raid experience that you would like to see in a MMORPG combined? Like, my dream is to have this raid.
Honestly, my dream raid would have to be a raid that is non-linear, except for maybe like the last boss, obviously. Those as someone who has spent thousands of hours sitting in raids, wiping every single night, it's nice to be able to choose, your battle to pick for that night and switch it up. So that's a big must for me.
Now I know there's gonna be like 1 or 2 people that are watching this that are gonna be like, I remember that game. But back in, I think it was like 2005 or 6, first game I pretty much ever played on even PC. So I got into that game. And what I realized after investing dozens of hours into it was that dungeons, and I've never seen this done since, dungeons were PvPvE. Oh. So you would enter a dungeon. There were dungeons like called Demonic World, Chaos Argent. You'd enter the dungeon, and there would be a timer on the dungeon before it closed. You had 2 hours. There was a portal that would allow you entry. So the portal closed after 40 minutes. Whoever's in the portal, when the portal closes, remains in there. If you die, you get teleported out. So, and this ties back into guilds also. Essentially, you would go in with your guild and you would try to down the boss. And the dungeon was one single instance. So there could be 50 people, there could be 600 people all in the same dungeon. And if they're in a different guild, then PvP would be triggered. So there would be dozens of people from dozens of different guilds all fighting over the same boss, so they were the last group standing, they could get the rewards, the loot.
It's nasty. Did the same in a battleground, like an open world battleground, where there were instance like entrances to raids, and factions would fight over controlling it. And 1 week you might just never get to do the raid because your faction's just lost out.
But I think that is probably like one of the coolest dungeon/raids that I've ever been a part of.
Fun.
They were just so like you had to be on the lookout for enemy scouts, like literally at any moment. You could spend 45 minutes getting a boss down at 5% health, and then out of nowhere, this skill just comes in, and you're dead.
It's like 5D chess, though, because you need to be geared for PvP to defend to get into the raid, but then you need decent enough gear to take the bosses down as well, for like PvE gear. So that's awesome.
How did you have the patience for that? That's a no for me.
We had more time back then.
Yeah, we were young. We weren't doing anything else.
No.
What is the best PvP experience that you ever had, and what you are dreaming to have once again?
Best PvP.
PvP.
Wait, I want her to tell the story about the demonic hunter.
Okay, so in a particular game, higher level more popular game. I was doing open world PvP, but I was just minding my own business when this particular player came over and ganked me, and I actually ended up fighting back and winning. And then they came back to try to fight me again, and they were losing, so they started running away. So Styx actually came in and helped me slow them down, but I killed them again. But they took the time to sign off of that particular account and join another account to send me a message to be like, very angrily tell me that I can just go away.
He made a character on the opposite faction that he plays just to send her a message because of how upset he was that he failed to kill her in the open world.
But that was rewarding.
That was like her crowning achievement. It was one of the funniest PvP experiences I've ever had.
It's also really nice for open world PvP to come in and you make the difference. Like,
yeah, because
I can come in as a healer and then help my team and we just push.
And then you run into the instance where I'm sure everyone here has experienced it. Like you're leveling out in the open world. Some higher level guy comes up, he kills you. And you're like, okay, well, that sucks. But I mean, it's a PvP game. It comes with the territory.
Yeah.
You respawn. Oh, there he is again. Nope, you're dead. 10 minutes later, he's still camping you. So you're like, hey, there's this guy that's camping me. Could someone come help? Someone comes help, they kill him.
Cavalry just charges in, yeah.
10 minutes later, there's 50 people on both factions just smashing heads against one another.
That is nice.
That is fun. That is
favorite.
one of the best parts about having open world PvP.
But don't you agree that PvP introduces a lot of toxicity, if not all of the toxicity, or probably 90% of all of the toxicity in MMORPG?
No, upper echelon rating is where the toxicity is.
Yes, this is why I didn't give like 100% of the toxicity, but competitiveness in its general, it creates toxicity.
There's a lot of toxicity in PvP, 100%, but then there are two categories of PvPers, casual PvPers and hardcore PvPers. The casual PvPers, they don't care.
Never mix them. Never mix the two.
So they're typically not the toxic players. They're the people that'll, you go out in the open world, oh, hey, there's one of my faction mates getting attacked. I mean, do I want to help him? Some people will be like, yeah, some people will be like, nah. But they're not toxic. But then they're the players that are toxic. So yeah, like there's a split, I think, between categories there. I think there are a sizable number of PvPers that are toxic, but based off of the bigger MMOs we've played and rated in competitively, there are also a lot of very toxic elitist PvE players.
Yes.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Because I've been in just PvE games and that's been extremely toxic. Probably more toxic than an open world PvP game that's very popular.
Yeah, I mean, my best PvP experience was on a PvP realm that was big for PvE. And our raid team were missing 2 people for the night, and we were like, well, can't do Mythic tonight. So we all went to the opposite faction's base, camped them for like a solid 4 hours, and they were just, well, how do we put it? Toxic, yeah. That's what happens when you mix raiders and PvPers at not peak time. It's a mess. Yeah, but that was the most fun I've had.
The thing is, the moment that somebody is mad with you, especially in PvP, is probably the time where you're having the most fun.
Oh yeah, you get that reaction out of them, and you're like, yes, satisfaction.
Yeah, the moment they hate you, this is probably the moment that you're doing.
You've won. That's when you've really won. It doesn't matter how many
it
times
doesn't
you've
matter
killed
if
them.
they've killed you.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
I saved that message in my inbox. It's on my, I could print it out, put it on
It's
my
a piece of
fridge.
art.
Yeah.
Set a reminder every month for it to just come up.
Ah, yes. I remember
Everything that we covered so far pretty much covers experience that you guys had, but on a desktop, isn't it? When was the last time, if ever, you had fun on a mobile, even though it's not a MMORPG in general?
So just a mobile game in general.
Mobile game.
There are. So I have 2 channels. MMOBite and my Styx channel. My Styx channel only gacha games. Gacha games are. It's a business model. It's not a subgenre of gaming, but we like to pretend it is. So gacha games. I guess I'm having fun in several right now. Like I have 4 downloaded on my phone, and when we go back to the hotel, I'm running through the dailies on them. But that's because I actually have fun in them. And if people watch the channel, they know which games those are. So I have fun in mobile games, despite the fact that I don't have fun in mobile MMOs.
And yet you said the last time that I had a good experience in MMORPG on a desktop was years ago. And then we have the next question on the line: mobile and MMORPG. Why those two things doesn't seem to work well so far? Where is the root cause?
Where do we start?
Do you believe? Let's see it that way. Do you believe it can be good?
Yes.
Yeah, of course
How?
it can be.
How?
By making what isn't currently made, by looking at what they've done
Yeah.
now and then doing the opposite. So,
Well,
and let me elaborate a little bit here, because I know you're looking at me like,
Appreciate
what does he
it.
mean? So currently, mobile MMOs are developed to get as much money out of the player as possible, because people spend a lot of money in mobile MMOs. You can buy XP boost, you can buy various different tiers of gear. There are a lot of incentives to spending money in the game. So then instead of studios making games that are genuinely fun, they'll make games that give them the largest return on investment. So then the mobile MMOs that are being built aren't being built as a passion project. The mobile MMOs that are being built to maximize the return that they put into the game. So because they care more about the money, they're designing the game with money in mind,
Build
as
back- build
opposed to
backwards.
they don't care about the game. They don't care. I can name you 8 mobile MMOs right now that all look the same, all play the same, of the exact same features, but all make. I think when each of them launched, they made $100 million in South Korea in their first month, and they're all the exact same game.
Yeah.
And it's because it works. They don't care about innovating. They don't care about making something unique or fun. They just care about pushing out the thing they know will print them the most, money.
Dollar bills.
So
Templated now. Yeah. They've got it down to a formula.
So they just got to not do that. But those are games that people don't talk about because they're not actually good. They're just games that people spend money on and that they play.
Yeah.
Because if you ask them, like, what's a good mobile MMO? And I get this question all the time. I'm like, I don't know, because I've never talked to anyone that has ever said anything good about a mobile MMO.
Well, every time there's an MMO that goes to mobile, they really dumb down the combat. And one of the main things for MMOs is the combat. So then you go on your phone and the combat just feels horrible. So why play?
You have bad gameplay. You have bad narratives. You have a bad world and world building. You have autoplay, auto combat. And it's just really, really boring. Like
What's
every
engrossing
aspect.
about autoplay? Nothing.
Yeah, like autoplay, I think.
I don't want to play the game, play it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because people have this argument. You don't need to use autoplay. It's like, yeah, you don't need to use autoplay to play a game, but if a game is built with autoplay in mind, then it's built around autoplay as a feature. If you don't build the game around autoplay, you don't need to grind 500 monsters. You don't need to spend, 7 hours straight grinding the same material. You could just go out and get one of the material, and it took you 3 minutes to get.
Yeah, I think one of the most important things about mobile MMOs is the kind of interoperability with the desktop version. A lot of games have, separate version for mobile, separate for PC, and you never play, crossplay. I think when you make it crossplay, you use it different devices for different reasons, right? You can fill any amount of time with different consoles, and I think that's important to an MMO player.
Do you believe that together with all of your feedback and in general, we can shape up some sort of a good product that can change this and say, look, there is a fun game that you can play on a mobile and somehow shift the whole understanding of this? What do you guys think? Seeing what we have built so far, even though it's quite unpolished.
I think so.
Yeah, I think the game has if you listen to I think the feedback that's important, you guys definitely have the opportunity to create a game that could appeal to a large audience. I think a lot of content creators, they think they know a lot about the genre that they're in. And a lot of viewers like to think that the content creator that they watch and like knows a lot about the genre they're in, and they like to think that if you get together like these 8 big named MMO YouTubers, they can create this incredible MMO.
No.
It's gonna end up like Homer Simpson's car, just like random crap strapped on.
I think that getting them together provides a lot of opportunities for unique ideas and unique feedback amongst one another. And I think, because I don't think I could make a good MMO. I think I could tell you that's a shit MMO. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear. Sorry.
You have now.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say that's a bad MMO. I mean, I can say that's a bad MMO, but I don't know if I can be like, that's bad, but I could make a better one.
A good example is, I don't need to be a chef to tell you that meal is awful. I couldn't do it myself, but I can tell you it's awful.
Yeah, so I think getting a bunch of creators, like, us as an example and others, to tell you what necessarily isn't good gives you the opportunity to make it good.
Yeah,
and
they can tell you what not to do.
Let me stop you here and ask you the spicy question.
Okay.
What is not good with Scars of Honor? What you would like to see improved? What you would like to see completely changed?
While they're thinking, let me start this off. When I saw, so I was contacted by you guys several months ago to do a dedicated video on it, and you guys were very open about it. You're like, say what you want. Here's some trailer footage. We don't really have anything you need to talk about. So you guys were like, what do you want to say about the game? So I like that. I like when studios reach out to me and give me the opportunity to just say what I want without having to read from a script. I typically I always turn down sponsors that force you to read what they want. But when I did the video, I realized that the trailer footage I got, the game, it was, and I don't mean to sound offensive by this, but at the time, and there's a positive to this, graphically, the game looked kind of ugly.
Yeah.
And I think, because the first thing I saw when we came in today was that the game looked a lot better graphically than what I saw back several months ago when I was doing my dedicated video on it. And I know I got numerous comments stating the same thing. Wow, this game is ugly.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, that looks cool, but it still looks ugly.
Yeah.
So I came in and I looked at it and I'm like, wow, the character models actually look a lot better than they did in the trailer. The world is looking a lot better than it did in the trailer. So I think I had this notion that the game was still going to look ugly when I came in. And I know she also was thinking the same. I don't know her opinion on it yet, but I came in thinking it was going to continue to look ugly. And I've actually been pleasantly surprised to see that it hasn't. Sorry that it doesn't look ugly anymore.
It still has a lot of things to be improved. But the main takeaway here, if you allow me, and you say is it right or not, is looked like we took feedback and we worked on what given, wasn't it?
Yeah, you guys saw that people were saying it was ugly, and you guys made improvements to the graphical style, and it looks a lot better now. Yeah, 100%.
Also, there is another positive to this. Sharing this so early, sharing this in a way where people can give the bad feedback is a good thing, because you can show that you are listening and you are fixing stuff. But it has additional thing. When you show this kind of footage, right away you're removing the negative effect of somebody where you strip out only specific pieces of your game and you polish them and you show like 30 seconds of something that really looks AAA, it's look really nice, and then they say this is the next big MMORPG title, Cure.
You just described every MMO trailer for the last several years. Look
trailers.
How awesome this looks.
This is gonna be amazing. This is gonna be amazing.
And then you get in there, it's 1 frame per second.
Yes. So it's a different approach. And it's, for me, it was a huge risk to decide and do that back when we said, look, we are going to do things differently. It's going to be a bumpy road. It's gonna be ugly, as you said. But we need to prove one thing. We need to prove that we listen and we want to improve and to demonstrate this.
That's just my opinion, though. I'm curious what you guys thought.
Yeah. For
like
me,
the negatives, I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
There's one thing, and I've already raised this with you, is character controls, like the actual character controller itself. So I don't know why. For me, it feels very clunky using the mouse and the keyboard. So playing other MMOs, I've always been used to using the mouse to turn and the keyboard to strafe. You know the games I'm on about already. Yeah. And it feels kind of backwards and clunky to me. And it might just be me, playing that way in other games. Obviously, you can't just carry over the way you play. But with that being the mindset going into it, I think it'd be nice to be able to have like an inverted movement scheme that's toggleable.
Or just the settings for the controllers. Yeah. Which pretty much sets the way you would like to
it might be nice to have like a drop down for some presets of different movement styles that people are used to.
Certainly. But that feels like you're kind of, I don't know, it's not a big deal what you're... He was pretty much on spot.
Yeah, so it's like more of a personal thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see.
It was... I want to be more ballsy. This is...
No, genuinely, I agree with what you said, but because I've been over here before, 6 months ago.
Otherwise, they will say they paid count.
I'd seen the... No. I'd seen the behind the scenes of the stuff that you're now seeing, the graphics that you now see. So I already knew that the graphics had been remedied beforehand. So for me, that wasn't a big concern. I'm going to be honest, off the top of my head, there's nothing I can think of. I mean, the quests. We've got to talk about the quests.
Yes.
I know that they're placeholder to get the mechanics, just in the game, like go here, get that, talk to this person.
We're literally thinking, should we even have quests? And if we do, they should be strictly towards telling a story or something.
Yeah, so I would have quests, but not in the traditional sense of a MMO. Because, let's be honest, when you say quests to someone, do you get excited?
Well, when it comes to escort quest, yes.
Well,
oh, yeah,
every time.
man.
Every time.
You have no idea.
That's all I want. Just make all of them escort quests. Just make me lead one to the next and
escort 100 rabbits. Let's go.
So we heard what you guys have to say, but we haven't heard the lady. What was the negative? Be open about it.
Or negatives, even if you encountered numerous.
Exactly.
So to be honest, when he originally covered your game, I was in the same sense of like, this is ugly. Why are you covering this?
Yeah.
But from what I saw today, it does look better. I looked at your characters, but I'm going to say right off the gate that you have characters that look very unique and interesting, but I didn't see a character, I think, that would appeal to more the feminine type of gamers that would want to come in and play. Like I see a lot of people playing the characters that you currently have, but for me, I want the cutesy ones. I want the pretty ones.
Yeah,
we're not going to talk anymore of this, but we're going to show you something.
I'm interested.
But you are having a very, very valid point, and we are going to show you something.
Okay, good.
Top secret.
In terms of
negatives.
Well, I didn't get hands-on, so that's all I have.
Well, I didn't get hands-on. Well, I mean, like, I did a little bit. I didn't really have the issue with controls.
I managed to sit down, and you said, let's go.
Yeah.
He had an issue with the spells, basically. He tried to cast a fireball, and he didn't.
Yeah, I ended up looking like a cowboy in a perpetual lasso state. Like,
this is what happens when you're having 24 open testing.
Hey, it's a test phase.
Yeah, it's fine until you bring people and, put it in front of them, and it all breaks then.
But you need to get all these kind of issues every day. So.
I mean, before I came over here, I put together a document for you of just like bullet point things that I'd found that were obviously not right.
They were very useful because it's a structured way of
and you got them fixed within about 48 hours, which was impressive.
Yeah, we do our best and we try to put as much content as we can and on a regular basis. But let's just for a minute cover something on the other side. Gaming studios, they have their ups and downs, they have their troubles. But what is it for you guys to be a MMORPG content creator? What are your biggest struggles? And in general, how it is?
We probably have very different views on this.
Mine's just, because I'm not into like the gacha kind of MMOs, it's just modern MMOs that are releasing that are worth covering for me. That's the biggest problem. I have to be able to see value in them for my audience to even want to cover them, and I'm finding that harder and harder recently. For me, that's the biggest problem, along with the us versus them. which is a nightmare because certain MMOs have a cult following, and if you cover an MMO that isn't that, you've forgot about it already. You don't care. You've gone against them. You've abandoned everybody. So it's very hard to put. It's impossible to please people from different MMOs at the same time. You just can't.
No.
See, for me, I do typically 2 kinds of videos on the channel: news videos and then gameplay videos. In terms of gameplay, like, let's be honest, there really haven't been many MMO releases in the last few years. So you're either forced into doing videos on games you've played, dozens of times for X amount of years. So it's the same video, same kind of content, or not doing a video. The alternative is news videos. And news videos are typically about upcoming games or test phases, or I actually don't cover events because MMOs are we're holding a Halloween event. Everyone's holding a Halloween event. You don't need to be told 13 different MMOs are all holding the same Halloween event. What's coming.
Yeah.
So
It's happening.
it's news about upcoming games or releases, test phases or early access releases and stuff like that. But then also recently we've run into the issue where there aren't really many. She actually did a video, I think just 2 days ago, about 56 or something upcoming MMOs that are all slated to release in the next few years.
They all are pretty much the same. There's 10 medieval MMOs coming. There's 10 shooter MMOs coming that are post-apocalyptic. There's nothing innovative, unique that's coming.
So then
Nothing.
we run into the issue where it's okay, here is this one game. And then the next video, if I do a new segment on it, it's the same game as the other one I did. And then I've done 8 videos on 8 different games, and they all look the same, play the same, and are essentially, for all intents and purposes, are the same. So then nobody's interested in it. Nobody's excited for any of them. And then I'm not excited for them. I don't want to cover them. So I'm left well, what do I want to cover? What kind of videos do I even want to do? Recording old MMOs or recording MMOs that are upcoming but all look worse than the old MMOs?
Yes.
For me, though, it's I do the in-depth reviews of MMO games. I'm the one that puts in the big no offense. I'm the one that puts in the most time for the MMOs, and I cover it, especially newer MMOs, and I will do a video on it, and then a year will pass, and then people are asking me, well, why don't you cover this game again? Why? What's there? There's nothing new.
Nothing to cover.
Maybe a new dungeon. Why would I cover just one dungeon? So it's very difficult to find MMOs to cover again a year later.
So, Callum,
Yes.
if I may ask, it's probably, again, not a tricky question, but kind of interesting one.
Okay.
If you have one thing to say about your channel, and the popularity behind it, would it be you making, unveiling scams of MMORPG games on a Kickstarter, or is it something else?
That's definitely my main focus. It's definitely what people enjoy on there. They're the videos that get the most views because, let's be honest, everyone loves to just watch a train wreck as it happens.
Drama.
That's
Yeah,
why I love
Windows
watching
drama.
your videos. Actually, that's why I click in.
and yet you decided to come here and in form or a way be supportive to us. Why is that?
Because I don't think many people know this. I'd actually been following Scars of Honor before you ever reached out to me. Yeah, so
Just hoping that this is the next 2 months of video coverage on my channel.
The next series for his channel.
here's a good reason why I was following Scars of Honor. And I said to you, I was like, I'm either going to get some fantastic scam content or an actual good MMO.
And no many videos about it.
Yeah, I came here and I was like, God damn it, I can't make a video on this now. But no, so I followed it for that reason because I was genuinely interested. And then when you reached out, you were surprised that I'd heard of you already. And we had a conversation, didn't we, where you said, I kind of want to prove that we're not a scam. Do you want to come over here? Nothing's off limits. You can see everything. The code, it doesn't matter. And I thought, you know what? I don't know any MMOs that have actually done that before because most of them are scams and, wouldn't be beneficial to do that. So that's what gave me the faith to come out here and engage with you guys, because for all intents and purposes, you are the real deal.
Thank you.
You
Thank you
are
about
actually making a game. It exists.
Which in current days it's a real deal.
It sounds
It's
silly,
strange,
but yeah,
but
it's rare.
Probably important.
Oh, very important. Very.
Guys, what about you? You saw Kawam coming here and you said,
No, it's because you paid us too. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, so for us, it was actually I do a lot of research into upcoming MMOs. It's literally like the foundation of my channel, doing news on upcoming games. I was aware, much like Callum, of Scars of Honor before you guys ever reached out to me. From what I saw, again, I thought the game was kind of ugly. Like, I think that about most like early development games, because like that makes sense. They over years of time they develop into something, the final version of what they are.
yes,
So
exactly.
I didn't expect much of it, but I have been reached out to by a lot of indie MMO companies to do dedicated videos on their game, and they either offer to sponsor me and then give me a script saying this is all we want you to talk about, or they're like, here is our game, we want you to download the exe for it and then install it and then play it. And I'm like,
Make sure you don't do it in a sandbox environment.
So you guys reached out and you were like, hey, instead of just paying you to potentially do a video on the game, we want to fly you out here so you can get hands-on with it. And this is,
Be mean to us. It was an intriguing ask.
yeah. And we want you to be as blunt as you can be. And I was like, well, so in essence, what they're potentially paying me for here is to fly me out and to criticize their game live, which would make for great content if that, was how it ultimately ended turning out. It didn't, evidently. It ended up turning out to be a very different experience, a very pleasant experience. But so you guys reached out and offered me something different. I've been flown out for big AAA games, but never for a game that had the potential to be, a scam. And that could have, this could have really gone either way for us. So that's pretty much why we took the opportunity. It was a great chance.
No risk to you either, is there, if you're allowed to say whatever you want?
Yeah, exactly. Like, there was no contract saying you can't say anything bad about it or you can't talk about this. Like, we talked about mobile, crossplay, we talked about the PvP, the pay to win. Like, it pretty much said everything we wanted to about the game.
Yeah.
So
that was the whole incentive, and I'm truly thankful to you guys. And I promise me as a creative director of Beastburst Entertainment, and we as a company will be always in touch with you, getting your feedback as fast as possible, because I really believe the next MMORPG that we are going to enjoy can be made only by us together, only by listening to each other and just do the things that needs to be done right.
I agree.
Thank you all for your time, and
No problem.
see ya.
Bye.
Thank you for joining our roundtable. As always, if you would like to share your personal takes on these topics, leave a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future discussions we bring to you. Until next time.